नहीं वो तो चलो मैं करूँगी। पेरेंट सफर वो वाला पॉइंट कब बोलना है? हेलो। ओके। हाय गाइस।
पहचानने का नहीं लोगों को।
अरे हम
ये देखो रे।
वो देखा यार ये मेगा इतनी गिरी हुई क्यों है? बात बात पे गिर जाती है।
फेक कैंडिडेट गाइस फेक कैंडिडेट
और से नाच करते हैं। तेरे को पता है डिस्कशन में मेरे एक से नहीं पांडे इतनी दूर से फोटो खींचने आएंगे।
मुझे पता है मेरे साथ
हाँ आई नो तेरी गाड़ी रुक गई। आज तेरा बर्थडे थी बहुत तेरे बाहर निकल गया
बहुत अच्छा।
ये दिख रही है।
अरे ऐसे करके ऐसे को ले जाना।
हमें देखना कहाँ पे है? देख जब ये बोली
आई वुड लाइक टू टेल यू किस मेरे को बोलना किसको देख के है तुझे। आई वुड लाइक टू टेल यू दैट 20% of the minors don't even know that they are pregnant.
उधर
And
भी
by the
उधर की
time
बात करनी है।
by the time they get to know about their pregnancy,
Hello,
it's
hello.
already too more complications and so obviously the doctor will consider the health of the child.
मेगा टेल्स मी ना किधर देख के बोलना है?
सुनना
किधर देख के बोलना है?
मतलब
इट्स ओके अच्छी बात
पता है हमें।
जवाब किसने देना है?
स्टार्ट करें।
Welcome to the reality talk. There are numerous burning issues going on in the country, but we have.
साक्षी
क्या होता है? अरे वो डब्बे मुझे बोल रहा
साक्षी नहीं प्लीज वो नहीं
है यार।
भजमनी
टॉक बैक चालू है? उधर वाला सीधा टॉक बैक चालू है? चालू है टॉक बैक तेरा है? हमारे पास ऑडियंस से कम है सारे।
मैम 3
सामने आ रही
हो जाता है।
डिस्टॉर्शन आ रही है यहाँ तक।
दीक्षा हेडफोन्स
कहीं नहीं जाना चलो दूर बैठ।
नहीं ऐसे बोलेगी
मैं क्या करूँ बताओ?
क्यों क्या हुआ?
टॉक बैक चालू है
कुछ पता ही नहीं है गाड़ी का हो क्या रहा है।
ठीक कराने दीदी
घंटा
तभी तो मैम ने पहले टारगेट ये किया, सर्दियाँ आ रही है।
समझा नहीं, बाद में समझा ना।
बुझे
क्या मैम खेल गया था इस बार।
पहन के आऊँ। रोहित आगे आ जाए यार।
अरे मैम
पांडे 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 और अपेक्षा पांडे
हेल दो
प्रणव
रोहित तू भी आगे आ जा यार। अरे
प्रणव को सेंटर पे बिठा के साथ अपेक्षा और पांडे के साइड में।
आया तेरे को टॉप पे चालू
नहीं ऊपर 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 क्या
साथ को भी बिठा दो। नहीं मैम आप नहीं। आंखें मेरी लाल क्यों अच्छी वाली लाल हो गई होंगी
क्योंकि मैं मर गई
पांडे बैठ साक्षी अगर शुभम अपेक्षा और प्रणव को नीचे बिठा दे क्योंकि चार नीचे हो जाएंगे, चार ऊपर है 3 नीचे हो जाएंगे।
नहीं ठीक है ऐसे
नहीं यार बहुत वाइड एंगल शॉट लेना पड़ेगा और वहाँ पे फिर वो डोर दिखता है।
अरे नहीं मैं वो चेक कर रहा हूँ
नहीं 3
ऑडियंस
4 ऊपर है 3 नीचे आगे की तरफ है।
तुझे सोलो पर देंगे
3
मैं अपेक्षा नीचे तू बैठ ना
अपेक्षा आ जाओ
यार कमर दर्द
ऊपर भी तुम चारों यार थोड़ा साथ साथ इकट्ठे हो जाओ एक बार। रोहित को डर ही लगा है गिरने जाएगा। विश्वा मैम मेरे एम्पावरमेंट की लग रही है मैम मेरे एम्पावरमेंट की लग रही है।
एंकर भी है लड़की मैम आप पहले आते 1 मिनट ये गिर गई यहाँ से
उसके पास है
तनुश्री के पास क्लास में
नहीं मेरा बात करने का सर मैम देखना पड़ेगा। लॉन्ग स्टोरी बिल्ली मेरे फोन बिल्ली आया बाहर से इन लोगों की नहीं है
फिर कहते बाहर फेंक देंगे
नहीं है
इसको फिर को
इंश्योरेंस करी वारंटी है लेकिन
या तो फिर कुछ निकल में अच्छा तुम बताओ कैसे हां चलो देखोगे फिर डेटा आफ्टर लुक इट द नहीं या यू हैव टू फेस द कैमरा चलो ठीक है धीरे मैं लो साक्षी फ्लोर मैनेजर है साक्षी बीच में चेयर लगा के बैठ
मैं कल भी मैंने बड़ा ये ना
रोहित स्विच हैंडल करने का तो
मेरा माइक क्यों ऑफ है
ऑन कर फिर शेयरिंग और हम लोग ये हम लोग बस बैठेंगे
बोलो गुड आफ्टरनून एंड वेलकम टू द रियलिटी टॉक
वो हो गया
ऑडियो चेक
In my opinion, parents are the best decision makers.
नो सॉरी
Audio check.
I would like to tell you that 20% of the minor don't even I would like to tell you that 20% of the minor don't even know about this.
Mostly cases which came up to me are like almost 20 weeks pregnant.
Radhika, the topic of discussion is should minors abortion be left in
नहीं वो
Sani
The topic for today's discussion is should a minor abortion should be left for the mercy of Supreme Court?
Radhika?
Should a minor's abortion be left to the mercy of Supreme Court?
I very well agree with your views and the law.
कुंडी लगा लो
Thank you so much, yaar.
इसने क्यों भेजा वैसे?
यार उसको मेरा दम घुट गया.
साक्षी ने
साक्षी ने
रोहित थोड़ा सा मैं ठीक आ रही हूँ. इधर इधर ठीक आ रही हूँ. ये जब रियल में स्टार्ट होगा बता देना.
बताएंगे पहले. काउंटडाउन देंगे. इधर से दे तो काउंटडाउन देगी. ऐसे करेगी ये.
साक्षी शुभम के साथ खड़ी हो. यस अच्छा सीधा बैठ जाओ. अटेंटिव रियल
Hello. Hello. It's okay. Good afternoon and welcome to the Reality Talk. There are numerous burning issues in the country, but the one we have selected today for today's discussion is, should a minor's abortion be left to the mercy of court? Rape is an increasing amount of crime which is happening in India day by day. So in the panel we have with ourselves a commoner, Smriti Kaushik, Tanushri, a member of Mahila Morcha Samiti, a gynecologist Smriti Sahani, Supreme Court's Judge Radhika Sharma, and Megha Malhotra, a member of Human Rights Commission. So here we held the discussion open. So my first question straightforwardly goes to the commoner, that if not the Supreme Court, then who?
In my opinion, parents are the best decision maker for their children because they are aware about their well-being. And why? Only court has to decide. A woman cannot decide that when she wants to get aborted. And even the law varies, like from 20 weeks, sometimes it's 20 weeks and sometimes it's 24 weeks.
I would like the CGI to reply in return to this.
See, it's not that the court worries. There are some medical reasons behind why we have kept the termination act between 20 weeks to 24 weeks. Because before that, I would like to highlight the medical termination act. It says that you can abort the child in 20 weeks if the girl is 10 weeks pregnant. So it's with the consent of one doctor. If the girl is 20 weeks pregnant, it's with the consent of two doctors. So the act has medical reasons behind it, which I think could be very well defined by the gynecologist present here.
I totally agree with Radhika, as this medical time period varies from 20 weeks to 24 weeks, but exact time period is set up to 20 weeks by the Medical Termination Act under 1971. But it differs, like with 20 weeks, we got to know the behavior and observation about the child. And if the child is not well or is handicapped or is having some problem, so that time period is extended to 24 weeks from 20 weeks. Otherwise, in natural cases, there is the limit is set to 20 weeks. Within that period, any woman or any minor case can go to a doctor and can abort the child.
I very well acknowledge and agree with your views and the law, but I would like to draw your attention to the fact that we are talking in context to the Indian society, which, as you know, is very orthodox, and a minor's abortion is considered a taboo. So if a child does not have the courage to even tell her parents about the pregnancy, do you think she'll be able to go to the Supreme Court to seek justice? Also, in democracy, there is a concept called red tapeism. So the child who is seeking justice from the Supreme Court, there's also a delay in the judgment. So that can affect the health of the girl adversely. So what do you have to say about this?
See, the point is, if you're talking about the delay in the judgment, ma'am, I would like to draw attention that there are around crores of cases which are in Supreme Court, and the judges are only limited to 21,000. Though the first preference is given to such cases, such minors abortion cases, but then obviously the decision, there are numerous number of cases. You cannot just talk about this, that there is a delay. Also, if you talked about red tapeism, I would like to draw attention that Supreme Court takes a rational decision and just not only see the emotional part, the emotional story of it.
See, if your system lacks somewhere, then why should any commoner or a parent suffer? As if I take that something happened with my child, then won't be I mature enough to take decision for my child?
I would like to tell you that 20% of the minor don't even know that they are pregnant, and by the time they get to know about their pregnancy, you can say it's already been more than 12 weeks, and at that time the complication has increased more. And if you talk about the doctor, the decision that the doctor makes, he has to consider both lives, the existing life and the new life which is coming into the world. So he will consider their health or the traits which are the traits to their lives. And being a family member, you are just going to think emotionally. You won't think practically, and you won't be able to take the rational decisions.
Exactly, there are other medical provisions to it. There are different stages of pregnancy. I mean, you cannot just look after that. You cannot just look after the emotional aspect behind it, that my child will suffer, I should have the right to abort it. I am the parent, she is the minor. There are different medical provisions behind it. There are different stages of pregnancy.
Yeah, adding on to it, Radhika talked about the journal provisions about it. So there are certain guidelines which we doctors have to follow. Like, we can't abort a child if the woman's health is in risk, if the child's health is in risk, if the child is well or is handicapped. Under these conditions, we can't allow the woman to go and abort the child like so easily, because it will affect her health.
That's totally right, I guess.
So you're talking about protecting the life of the girl who's delivering the child. What about the child who has been given birth to? Like, what about the life of the child? Like, mostly the case in such cases, the parents, they give up their parental rights. They do not want to raise those children. So those children, they end up in orphanages, as you already know, are brimming in this country. So not every orphan in this country is lucky enough to become a Steve Jobs of Nelson Mandela and change the world. Most of them end up on the streets instead. So what about the rights of the child which has been born?
I would like to tell you that there is a law of right to live for the unborn child. And if the child can be brought into the world, why shouldn't we do it? Like, you can take two cases that recently happened, one in Mumbai and the other one in Chandigarh. The case in Mumbai, the girl was 22 weeks pregnant, and she was given the permission to abort the child. Why? Because she was strong enough to abort the child, but she wasn't strong enough to give birth. A similar case happened here in Chandigarh. Here, the girl was pregnant 20 weeks, less than 22 weeks, but she wasn't given the permission to abort the child. Why? The same reason, because she was strong enough to give birth to the child, but wasn't strong enough to abort the child. And like, we know, we are human beings too. We know if people say that if we have like the law say that somewhere it's a week, somewhere it's 22 weeks, somewhere it's 12 weeks or whatever. We are human beings, and we know, like, one person, we can allow the other person too. But we are considering some things. We are considering the health. We are considering the emotional stress the person is taking, because the family is only going to think about, like, under social pressure and the pressure they get from their relatives or around the society. They're only going to think about it.
Yeah, because adding on to this, I would like to add the main focus is about the life. The life which is already present there. Like, if we, as she mentioned about two cases, one was the Chandigarh case and one was the Bombay case. In case of Chandigarh, the girl who was pregnant, the minor who was pregnant, could only be alive if the abortion was cancelled. And in Bombay case, uh, uh, it was the other way around. So obviously, the person who is right now living, who is right now present and has been living for like 10 years or for 9 years of spam, obviously her life is important first rather than the life of who has not even who is not even complete in the fetus.
But generally, there are questions from people that Supreme Court is not the right authority to intervene in the abortion process. People think that parents have the authority, as they have brought up their children, is the right party to make a decision. So, what is your take on that, Dr. Smriti?
You're talking about like if the parents are emotionally attached to their children. So if they are saying that Supreme Court has no right under that, and the doctor should have, if they what if the girl who will give the birth to the child in future, if she dies or if something happens to her, who will be responsible for it? Obviously us, the doctors. We have certain guidelines to follow, we have certain rules which we have to follow, and if we'll go against them, our job, our license will be in danger. So we can't do that like by just thinking emotionally and by just listening to your opinions and everything. We can't go against the court.
So yeah, there is something about everything, and that is Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, which was passed in 1971 and has made minors abortion available to people since 1971. But don't you think that such cases have raised to some other cases? Like, it's not always about the rape victim. Minor girls, cases regarding the minor girls has increased. What is your take on that?
See, as you said that it's not only rape always, there are other reasons also. But then the case reaches to the court after they find no solution, after they find that the things are out of their hands, means they've already crossed the limit of that 20 weeks. I agree to your point that it's not always the rape case, it's the other things also which come into the role play. But then it's court is always approached after they find that the things are out of hand, after they find that the medical department or the doctors cannot do anything about it, as she mentioned that it's their cost of license too.
Exactly. So this is what there is justice in Supreme Court's verdict always. The similar happened in the case of Chandigarh victim as well as in the Mumbai victim. Though there are questions raised on that, but I feel that something that was done was appropriate at the moment. Yes. So this is all for the discussion. Now we are open for questions. Anybody from the audience?
Hello, my name is Shyam and I'm from News Now. And my question is whether the Supreme Court is merciful or a murderer, and how long will it take to improve the current scenario, and it's for all.
See, obviously Supreme Court is a mercy to the decision and not a murderer. And if you are asking that how long will it take for the situation to be sorted, see, the point is we are a mercy to the decision because we make the decision collectively. As throughout the discussion we have been discussing that parents will always look after the decision by the society pressure, by the pressure of like mental pressure or emotionally. It's the Supreme Court who sees who looks after the medical condition also and takes a rational and a firm decision which ultimately turns out to be a good one.
Okay, so my question is that the Supreme the court will take the decision whether it should be abort or not, right? So if as you said that 20 weeks, right? And what if how much time does that decision takes to come?
I'm sorry?
The decision whether to abort or not, how much the time period when the decision will come?
It depends that at what time the case is being registered. Suppose if the case if the girl is already 20 weeks pregnant and the case comes out, it's like obviously if it's 20 weeks we have to make a quick decision. If it was 17 weeks we still have time till 20 weeks because as I said that the life of the girl matters a lot. The importance of the case varies that what's the duration of the pregnancy because there are different stages of it.
But it will take more than a week for the decision, right? So will the time period of 20 weeks
Yes,
it will increase?
See, that is why the act has been made that the termination act is till 20 weeks. Then why the minor will come only when it is 20 weeks? If he or she, if the parents wants the abortion, if she being the minor wants the abortion, and the time they'll get to know about the pregnancy, then only they'll turn out to the medical department, and then further if the case is not being handled, then they'll turn out to the court.
And plus in India, there are only 38% of the population who is aware about this law, Medical Termination
Yes.
Act 1971. And the mostly cases which came up are like almost 20 weeks pregnant. The women or the
Yes.
minors which came up to the doctors, they are almost 20 weeks pregnant just because they don't even know that what is happening to them,
Yes.
what is happening to their life, to their health. So we can't do anything in that. So if they're having any problem, they can register the case earlier, like within 14 weeks pregnant or 15 weeks pregnant. What if you are coming on the day?
The 20th week.
Yeah. That's
But
the fault
on that
of.
day, the decision or the time period will increase, right?
It will not increase obviously when it's too late. The complications have increased, so the decision will be made faster at the 20th week. The court has the court in the IPC. We have given you laws for that. If you are aware about the laws, if you know that your child is pregnant, you can come earlier too. But if you're coming at the 20th week or the 22nd week, the decision is going to be made faster than they would
obviously.
take earlier.
To second the thoughts of Megha, I guess she's right. She's very right. If the child is born, even after you make a decision to not abort the kid, even after the kid is born, like in the Chandigarh case, the child who was born is still in the children welfare help. And though the child is up for adoption, how many chances are there that somebody would take up a child like that?
See, as she said that Nelson Mandela was one who was an orphan, and she also mentioned that everyone is not that lucky enough to get those best orphans. But the point is, again, I would like to draw attention to the point I am sticking to from starting, that for us at that point of time, the life of the girl who is pregnant at that of time is more important
And
than
if-
the life of the child who is not even
And if
completing
by
the
chance
fetus.
the pregnancy misfires,
The point is that if abortion happens, maybe when she is married in future, at that time she'll face problem. So abortion is never a fair solution to everything, because abortion leads to some medical mishappening to the girl who aborts a child.
but don't you think that a 10-year-old child isn't capable of handling the
I
pregnancy?
know that, but then her life, if you're talking about the Chandigarh girl, then I would say that it was her life which was in danger if the abortion
Wasn't her life in danger when she was bearing the baby?
Yeah. The point was that the medical department said that if you abort it, she'll be dead there and then. So some
It depends upon the medical condition of the person.
Yes.
There's
Who is
another
suffering.
point to it that Supreme Court may deny abortion, but it does not force a girl who is a minor to raise that child. She
Yes.
can give it up for adoption, and what the solution to this problem could be that we can work on developing those areas and providing better facilities
Yeah.
to orphanages. So that should be worked.
It's not always the law which should be amended. It's sometimes the thinking or the mentality of the society is also important.
And plus, I already told you earlier that there's a law for right to live for the unborn child. So, as I already said earlier, that if we can bring the child into the world, why shouldn't we do it?
Yes, exactly.
So if the girl, if she died, who will be responsible?
I'm sorry.
The girl, if she died during the abortion and all.
Everything is analyzed before. That's why
That
they
court will be
take the decision
responsible
for
the
abortion.
hospital or the parent.
They have already analyzed, and that's the reason they have taken the decision for the abortion.
What if, I'm asking in the process of when they are aborting the child, the girl dies, who will be responsible for the death of that child or that girl?
Sometimes complications are unavoidable and they happen. If it's a result of a crime, those criminals are to be punished. And if it is if it happens otherwise, and those are the areas that need to be worked upon. We cannot blame the responsibility on
Exactly.
a particular section, or we cannot even blame it on the parents or the child like the society does. What we can do is we can work on the criminal laws against these crimes and improve them so that such cases are avoided in future.
Yes, totally.
It is to be made very clear that the unborn child bears a right to live, whereas the mother also bears a right to live. So the Supreme Court takes into consideration every aspect of the case and then makes a decision. Like in the case of Chandigarh 10-year-old girl, she would have died if she would have aborted the child, but whereas she was physically capable of giving birth to a child. So that is the aspect that was considered. Hence, we would like to reach out to the panel members again for a conclusive statement.
So being a judge from the court, I would say that yes, it's the court's decision which is the firm and the final decision, considering all aspects together and making a rational one.
There are certain shortcomings that can be overcome. Otherwise, the Supreme Court is known to be fair and just.
Okay, so as per you, the law needs to be a bit more comprehensive because the provisions are very much inclusive. So, as per our panel members and as per the decision, Supreme Court has the right party to approach in case of a minor's abortion. Keep watching the reality check with Chitkara News.